What are some interesting or fun Christmas traditions you follow? My brother and I had to make coffee for my parents, then bring it to them in bed. Then we'd open our stockings in their bed with them while they drank coffee before we headed to the loot under the tree. Pretty genius parental move actually. Oh, also the Christmas Eve present, which was always new pajamas. We do a Christmas Eve scavenger hunt for the kids. My parents started it, and now I do it for my kids. After dinner, we start with the first kid, and give them a little index card with the first clue. It's usually a riddle or rhyme and it tells you where to find the next clue. Then the next clue leads to the third clue. The third clue leads to the present. After you find your present, you have to wait for your siblings to find theirs so we can open them together. It's usually PJs or a stuffed animal. Nothing too big, and you can enjoy it that night. Unfortunately for my siblings, I was always terrible at figuring out the clues. Fortunately for my kids, I'm great at writing age-appropriate clues. Not on Christmas but whatever night we decorated the Christmas tree. Santa's elves would get so excited about the Christmas decorations going up that they would leave us presents outside the front door. My mom would have my dad sneak outside to make noise with jingle bells so we knew they were coming. Then my mom would distract us with something while she put the presents outside, or maybe it was really Christmas elves, who knows. The youngest of the 5 of us is now 25 years old, but every year the elves still show up and leave presents for us outside after we help put up her tree. Shots of black sambuca. Nobody touches it the rest of the year, but come Christmas and the family is all together, out it comes. From December 1st till the new year, I happen to, actively do watch Die Hard Nakatomi Plaza. Earlier it used to be that I would find the movie by accident and not skip over, or sometimes look for it on all the movie channels and it would be playing on one. For past couple years I will search for it and watch it on internet service. I know it's not a fun thing as I may have hoped for, and it's not elaborate as I barely make any effort, but it's just comforting. Curiously, I did not get to watch, did skip over thinking I will do so later, or somehow missed watching it in 2019 and feel like it was a bad omen. I have watched it for 2020 already, don't worry. I have watched it in India, where I am from, US, Singapore and China. Going up north to Traverse City to my aunt's house to see family, and then opening presents on Christmas Eve, and then spending Christmas chilling at my grandparents' house. My dad has always put an orange at the end of our stockings. It's not a stocking without an orange at the end of it. Pizza and a Christmas movie on Christmas Eve with the kids and their friends and boyfriend, girlfriends. First year was Home Alone. Last year was Arthur Christmas. Plenty of elf years. Carrie Christmas Carol, Die Hard, Christmas Vacation, etc. One year was the 60s Disney Christmas Carol, with Mickey as Cratchit and the intro of Scrooge McDuck. Did not know it was that good. My family watches National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation every year since my grandfather passed away 4 years ago. It's not much, but it's a great way to remember our Sparky heart. Every Life Day we watch the entire Star Wars holiday special. I've got 2 traditions. The first one is what my mom has done for most of her life. She and her family that lived in the same house would open up the presents under the tree on Christmas Eve so the kids could play with their toys and the family doesn't have to rush out of the house immediately after opening presents on Christmas morning. And in the morning, there would little trinkets and typical stocking gifts scattered around the house. The second tradition is a more recent one. We have 8 tiny trolls that we put in our advent calendar, and as soon as we get a troll, we hide it and have a scavenger hunt every day until Christmas Day. F the elf on the shelf. Downvote me all you want, but I have to set an alarm for 11 p.m. so I don't forget to move it. Good, watching Home Alone. Every year, without fail, we watch the Muppet Christmas Carol on Christmas Eve. It's our favorite Christmas movie, by far. When I was younger I'd wake up at 3 a.m. to go see what was under the tree. Being so excited I could never fall asleep, so I'd lay in bed watching A Christmas Story because it was always on 24 hours starting Christmas Eve. every year since. I start watching it when it starts and thought the following day. It's just something small that brings me to my childhood. My family and I play stupid games. Like unwrapping the gift with oven gloves on. Pin a red nose on Rudolph. Also there's usually a game of cricket in the backyard. Smile, we are Australian. There's lots of trips to the beach too because there's 3 ex-birthdays leading to Christmas, 14th, 20th and 22nd, and it's hot here. So that's just something we do every year. I know this will get buried but I needed to share it anyways. Every Christmas Eve my mom, siblings and I bake cookies together. For as long as I can remember we've been doing this. Throughout the years some of the other siblings became a little disinterested and dropped out, but every year I'm there to make cookies with my mom. I moved away recently and it's not my first Christmas Eve away from home, so to continue the tradition we FaceTime each other and I'll bake on my end and they'll bake on their end. It's something I always look forward and will forever cherish, and something that one day I can't wait to include my kids on too. My parents have photos of people who have passed on their Christmas tree. It sounds bleak but it started with my mum finding an old photo of my late grandpa, her dad, dressed as a fairy, and she put it at the top of the tree as a tree topper. Since then, they added photos of other family members or friends who have passed away that year, but also celebrities that they particularly like, e.g. David Bowie and George Harrison. It's actually a really sweet family tradition and our tree is covered with little pictures of people we love. We get to talk about them and remember them every year as we decorate the tree. Having a LOTR marathon. I'm late here, but my extended family does a homemade gift exchange. The only rules are that whatever your gift is, you have to make it yourself. We have a couple of carpenters in the family, so there have been some amazing gifts. You always want Uncle Jim to draw your name. This year, I made a t-shirt pillow for my sports crazy cousin with shirts from her 2 favorite teams. My wife and I started by getting an ornament every year. From our first Christmas together to this year, a new one. Every Christmas we put them on the tree. My kids aren't allowed to touch the oldest ones. Our first ornament is still in great shape, 1993. Every year we make cinnamon rolls for breakfast, before moving to stockings, then presents. Also, pajamas are mandatory all day. No changing out. When we were kids, naturally, we all were super excited for Christmas. However, our parents had a rule: we couldn't wake them up until 6 AM on Christmas Day, and we could not open presents until at least 7. For that 1 hour between, we'd go through the goodies in our stockings, and basically eat a ton of candy. But, my most favorite memory was before 6 AM. Naturally, we'd all be awake by 4, and not surprisingly part of this was because it was lights out by 9 PM on Christmas Eve. We'd all gather in the bedroom shared by my oldest sisters, and we'd write stories. Each person would write for 5 minutes part of a story on a piece of paper. Once 5 minutes had passed, you'd pass the sheet to the person on your left, and take the sheet from the person on the right. Then you'd have 5 minutes to read what they wrote and add on to the story. You could only read what the person just before you had written, nothing else. Repeat until you get your original story back. Then we'd read them out loud and see how they went. They were often hilarious, not that I am biased. We also created our old money names one year. I'm Throckmorton Percival Wykehams on the water, Percy to my chums. One of my sisters was Adelaide Higginbottom. Can't remember the others right now. Removed. Every Christmas Eve my kids and I order a pizza from our favorite place. Then when the delivery person shows up we give them a big tip and wish them happy holidays. I really love our tradition of getting together as a family so I can remember how stupid they are and appreciate my wife and dog more. My family uses a fake tree because we don't like the idea of cutting a tree down every year just to decorate it with plastic. When Christmas is over, every year on New Year's Day, I take the fake tree apart, I load my wife and daughter into the car, we drive about an hour and a half to the coast, and we throw our tree into the Pacific Ocean. We just laugh and laugh. I feel so fortunate I was able to start my very own wholesome holiday tradition with my family.